Welcome to my channel. So show some love by subscribing. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use If to build a shopping assistant agent. If is actually this framework that enables you build agents similar to Next.js by using a file system-based approach rather than just code. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is to copy this command. So this command says npx if latex init. So this is what we're going to be taking. So we're going to copy this command and we're going to switch to code mode. So in our code mode, we're going to just paste this command here. So what I might do is I might just remove the name here and just leave nps if latex init so that it creates the project within the same folder. Let's try this, check this out. So you see what is happening. So it's complaining because if require Node.js. So I'm just going to be using MVM and ask MVM to use. So MVM, if you don't know what MVM is, MVM stands for Node Version Manager. So I'm going to ask it to use version 26 of Node.js. And this should be okay. So we've switched to version 26. So we get the command running now. So this command is going to scaffold the entire if project on our folder. So as you could see, even when it's still installing, you see we have our agent folder here. And when creating an if project, the first thing you notice out of the box is that it creates two files, which is agent.tx and the instruction.md. So in the instruction.md, this is where we actually specify what our agent will be doing. So let's modify our instruction.md. So I'm going to go to the docs for if, and I'm going to look for instructions. So this docs tells us exactly how instructions to look like. So instructions are going to be you put your instruction in the instruction.md file. So that's where the instruction should live. So we are going to be defining our own instruction. So let's see what we're going to be saying here. So I'm going to switch back to code mode and I'm going to tell it what it needs to do. So it's going to be a shopping assistant. So this agent is going to be a shopping assistant. And what this agent is going to do, so the first part of your instruction.md is where you define the identity of your model. So the second part is where you talk about more like the step-by-step steps your agent should take while performing his duties. So then finally, if you have some kind of tools that you want your agent to use, and also you could specify examples. So let's start with the identity of our model. So it's a shopping assistant. You will crawl, so it's going to crawl the web for relevant, so relevant, so let me press it down, relevant sites, and suggest products in a slides output for me. So you see, and suggest products, let's just say, and suggest products for me to buy. Then we're going to say that meets my specific needs and preferences. So in the step, so I'm going to tell it, first of all, understand the user needs, crawl the web, and suggest product for the user to buy. So this is okay. For tools, I'm going to give it some tools. So one of the tools I'm going to give him, so I'm going to give it a web search, a web crawling tool. So search for relevant information. So I'm going to give it a web. So I'm just going to say web crawl for relevant website. And I'm also going to give it for now, I think let's just leave it at this. So it's going to crawl and then it's going to, maybe let's leave it at this for now. I'm going to take an example out just to make the thing easy. So this is what is going to be in our instruction.md file. So you see, we already have the agent working. So the next thing we need to do is to kind of add our tools. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add tools here. So to add tools to if is just to create a tools folder. So you just say tools and that's it. And then you need to define a TypeScript file in the root. So for example, we could define a file here called web crawl. So this web crawl will actually crawl every particular website for us. So let's see how we can actually write a tool. So to write a tool in if, so we go to docs and then you see tools. So tools have this tool API. So this is how a tool looks like. So it has a defined tool API. So the components of a tool is the description of what the tool does, the input schema to the tool, the execute function. There's also an optional output schema. So this is what you need to create a tool. So for now, we're just going to take everything we have here. So I'm just going to copy this part and I'm going to paste it here under web crawl. So if we switch back to code mode, so we're going to see that we pasted everything we have. So here, I'm just going to take, so this is going to crawl like relevant websites. So for now, it's just doing nothing. So we'll come to making it actually do something. So the next thing I want to do is that I want to define some skills. So I want to also show you about skills. So let's switch to the web for a moment. So here you see here, so you see skills here. So for skills also, you need to create, in your agent folder, you need to create a folder called skills. So we're going to do that. So you switch back to code mode. And then within here, we create a folder here, new folder called, so we just create a folder with the name of skills. And that's all you need to do. And then within the skill, you need to add your relevant skills. So let's switch back and see. So we need to define our skill. So this is all you need to do. So you need to create the name of the skill. So I'm going to create a skill here called scrapping. So maybe we would use just the skill. So let's see. So within the skill here, I'm going to create a new file here. So let's switch to code mode. So I'm going to create a new file here called script, kind of. And then we're just going to call it .md. So we just script.md. So here, I'm just going to go back. So let me show you something. So within my Gwenpa, so I also use something called Gwenpa. So I already have a scripting skill here. So I'm just going to copy this skill and bring it. So what this skill does is that it helps me to kind of like scroll through any kind of website. So I'm just going to get whatever this skill has defined already for me. So I'm just going to pull it here. So I'm going to take it and paste it. So let's switch back to code mode. So I'm just going to paste it here. So all the contents of that skill. So tool. So you can see here, the tool has a name. It has a description. It has a version. It has a lot. So I'm just going to put it right here. So this is the skill. So while I was using this skill, this is kind of like a very similar agent. So this agent is very similar. So if you look at it here, it was helping me to search for cars. So it has this crawler.py. So what happens is that skills can also have files. So if you look at this skill here, you could discover that when we go, a skill can also be created using the skill API. But beside that, there is a way to create skill. So where you create skills in such a way that you put them in a folder together with scripts. So scripts can also be included in skill. So we're going to do that. So in order to do that, we need to create the skill itself inside of a folder. So what happens is that we might create a folder here called, so I'm going to create a new folder. Let me switch to code mode. So within the code mode, I'm going to create a new folder here, and then I'm going to call it let's call it script. And now we're going to move this file into this folder. And then instead of calling it script, now we need to rename it. So this is the convention. We need to rename it and call it skill, all uppercase, .md. And then within this script, we can also create a new folder called scripts. And then I will be able to add a particular script here. So as an example, so I'm going to update this skill file to add that script as an example. So what I've done here is that if you can see here, there are a lot of tools. So what I basically did was I moved the Gwenpa skills. So if you see Gwenpa, so I had a similar agent on Gwenpa, and these were the building tools. So I just told, kind of like provided the list of these tools to the Devin agent here to kind of like help me create those tools here. And look at what it creates. Although most of them will be redundant, I'm going to delete them. But also in terms of skills, it also modified the skills. See this script skill. So you can see the skill.md. It now modifies it to use Crowley plus playwright. The former skill that I had, I'm going to show you the skill. So this skill here. So if I come to skill, I had this skill that was helping me. It's called scrapping. So this was a skill I was using to kind of like fetch from any anti-bot site. It was really working well. So what I've been able to do right now is that I asked it here. So you see here, down here, after it created the tools, I also asked it. So I basically asked it to replace it with a TypeScript tool. So you could see here for TS scrapping alternative. So it had to use Crowley. So that was what it used to replace that skill. So that's why you see now our skill has also changed to be TypeScript. So that's all I've done for now. And if you look at our instruction.md, So you see now we have more like you are a shopping assistant. You will crawl web for relevant sites and suggest product for me to buy that meets my steps. Understand the user needs, crawl web for relevant sites, suggest product for the user to buy. Then look at now the tools that we have. So you see, these are built-in tools. These are custom tools by me that I added. So these are kind of like other stuffs that I have added. So all these were being added by the Devin agent here. So I just wanted to save time. So because the basic thing understanding you need to know is you have tools, you add skills, and at the end you add, let's say, channels. So I'm going to show you how to do that briefly. So now we have almost everything here. So let's see what it's going to build. So the first thing you're going to see is that when you initialize your project, it asks you to start if. So we are going to be starting if now. So I'm going to say if start. So I'm just going to click here so that it allows me to start. So now the start means it's going to build your agent. As you could see, it identifies an issue that we don't have an API gateway key. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you how I can get this. So what we're going to do is that we're going to switch to the web here. And within here, we're just going to go to Vercel. So let's go to vercel.com, or let's just put AI Gateway Vercel. So it's in this AI Gateway. So you could see here, this is a product that Vercel has. So here you can see immediately you come here, it will show you a place here to get API key. So you could click here to get API key. So immediately, if you have your Vercel account open, it's going to open this place you see here. So here you could see I can come to API keys and then I can grab my API key. So you can see here. So there's a place for a detail. I could just create a new one here and I will just call it, so what's the name of our agent? So call it shop. And then here I will not set an expiry date for this one, but I'm going to delete it, of course. So I'm just going to create. And then I'm going to copy this key. So we're going to switch to code mode here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. So when I click back here, I can select then here I'm going to paste the key. So I'm going to press enter. It's going to validate the key. And what it does for sure is to create this env.local. So, and it injects the key here. So now the key is available for my agent to do. So the next thing I have to do now is I have to, for example, change my model. So if I come and do model here, I should be able to switch my model. So now I'm going to change. So there are options, of course, you could even change a provider. So if you see now we're using Anthropic, let's say, for example, let me try. I decide to change a provider. So let's click on change provider. So now I could put other provider. So other provider. So you see here it's actually telling me set your provider API key for Anthropic or OpenAI API key, and then use it like this. So I'm press enter to continue. So now I'm just gonna, so I'm not setting any of this. So I'm just gonna put done. So I press escape and then I'm gonna press done. So no model was changed, but definitely I'm not gonna use this. So let's go to the agent.ts. You see, we are using this Anthropic. So let me change it to a different model. So here I'm just gonna maintain this. So I'm gonna use so slash model, and then we're just going to change model. So in the model, I'm just going to use another kind of model. So I'm just going to go down and use something like ChatGPT 4.1 mini, something like this. So immediately you do this, if you watch, immediately it changes here. So you don't need to come back here and change it. It automatically changes. So you see, we have our instruction. So let's try and see what happens when we decide to chat with our model. Also, let's say I want to ask it about, so now I want to ask it about cars in Wrocław. So cars like 3310 Nokia in Wrocław, Poland. So where I live. So let's see exactly what we get. Let's see whether our agent will be working. And let's see whether tools will be triggered. So right now it's working. So here you could see here, it says I found a used Fiat Punto 2000 available in Wrocław, which could fit the criteria of the car with simple, reliable, similar to the Nokia 3310 phone. So it is known as a practical and budget-friendly vehicle, making it somewhere. So would you like more detailed listing or similar? Give me like 5 different, let's say, models. So let's see what happens. And you could see exactly what is happening below here. You could see we have our OpenAI GPT 4.1 mini AI gateway. And if I switch all the way back to our AI gateway screen, so you could see here that, so let's go back to the overview of our AI gateway. You could see that I am actually spending from this amount. This was actually some free credit that was given to me. But if I want to add, you could definitely just add to whatever model you want to use, say, and that could do the work for you. So we could immediately see. So let's kind of like switch back to code mode. We could see that a tool was being triggered here. Find 5 models, and this was a search ID. Result were 4. Here are 5 different car models available near work or focus. So these were the models that were found. So I will ask for links. So I'm going to also go down to ask like links to view them and buy. So let's see what it's going to do now with links to view them and buy. So you see, so it's actually pulling these cars out. So let's view one of them. I don't know how we got this one, but definitely we are having some stuffs happening. So if we go back to our browser, you could see that the link actually worked. So this is actually our shopping agent actually helping us out here in getting what we want. So let's see. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, create the web channel. So the channel is actually how you get to access your models. So if you look at the definition of channels here, so you see here how users reach your agent, the channel contract, the base if HTTP channel, and authoring custom channels. So there are channels like if, Slack, intake, whatever that is. So, but channels are basically how you get access to your agent. So one of it that we're going to use is this web app agent. So it's called the web agent. So you could also connect like Telegram. So you see Telegram bot messages here. So if you want to create a Telegram agent, we could also add Telegram. So all we need to do is provide the boot token. So we need to provide these ones here, and that will be it. So, but for now, we're going to create a web channel. So let's see how this is going to be deployed in Vercel. So you're going to see. So the first thing I want to adjust before I create the web channel is in agent.tx. So in agent.tx, so let's see here. So let's see our channels. So when we come to if, one thing that happens is that if we leave this one, so it said this placeholder will not allow browser requests in production. So if you want to deploy this thing to Vercel, we need to change this placeholder auth to none. So you see here it's telling us. So what we need to do is just come here, replace this placeholder with none, and also make sure that this is none. So this is all you need to do. And then with this, we are ready to add a channel, the web channel. So in order to add channel within here, all we need to do is go to channel. So we just need to go to channel, and then so we need to press enter. So you see now it's checking for channels. So what we need to add, so we need to add this web chat channel. So immediately I click on web chat. So you see it will be scaffolding. So you see here we have this app added here. So if you come to the page.ts, you see here the agent chat, and then you see layout.ts, and then you could see exactly what it's using. Look at utils. It's using Tailwind out of the box, and then you see it added this app stuff here because we wanted to see, we wanted to create the app channel. So you see it's scaffolding and installing all what it needs to make sure that this channel. So you see it's scaffolded the channel called web. So it did that by just adding this app here and some components. So look at this chat component that it added. So these are the things that it actually added. So it's more or less like it added a Next.js application. So now we can click done. So I can come back to the UI now and click done. So enter. So this is done. So our web channel has been added. So now we could run or deploy this channel. So let's see what we have here. So now what has actually happened now is that we have added the web channel. So let's see what happens. We could decide not to do /deploy. This is actually going to deploy it to Vercel, but let's try something else. So let me exit. So I'm going to do /exit. So now I exit. So if we do ls here, so we're going to see, we're going to see our agent, and we're going to see this. So now I want to do npm run dev. So let's see exactly what we're going to have. And we see here that our app got started here. So we have the dev server is listening, and our app got started here. So let's see what happens here. So I'm going to switch to the web mode. So what I'm expecting to see is to see the web UI. So you see, so a UI gets started, and this UI that gets started, if you look back here, so basically it's the app that has started. So now we can start chatting with our agent. So let's go try. So what we're going to do now is that I'm going to ask it right here for just the same thing I did last time. I will say for cars that are family based and can do 4 hours, can do 4 hours of travel from Wrocław to, let's say, Berlin. So this is what I'm going to do. So cars that are family based. So I could also put like 3310. So I need this very strong cars. So let's see. So this is Vercel. This is cars, family base. So let's see exactly what happens now. So see now, you see we are chatting with our agent now. To clarify your request, you're looking for family based cars. Could you specify budget or price? So I would say 3310 here. Nokia is for reliability and ease of service, etc. So you see, I'm chatting with our agent, and you see exactly what I get. You say, got it. You're looking for a family-oriented car. So your budget range. So I'm going to say 29,000 PLN, and I would say choose the best engine and the SUV, 7 cars. I'm just trying to be very fast. So you see, our agent is actually working. So it's kind of like our shopping assistant. It's doing its job. So let's see. So now you see. So this is where it actually, it took a little bit of time here because it actually did some web search. And here we could begin to see what exactly happened here. So this was the search query that it did. And these were some of the sites it looked at. And I didn't find up-to-date relevant listing. However, so this is what they are widely recognized for durability, whatever. So, so this is much I can take. This was just to introduce you to what is capable of for you to do when you're using kind of like the if agents. It's quite new. So most of the tools were not being called. So I'm going to look into it and maybe subsequently do a more improved tutorial on how to use if.